Line Tennis Podcast, episode 32. It's myself, Jack, and it's my co-host
Gavin. Yeah, good to be back. Plenty to discuss this week. Plenty of tournaments going on in all different parts of the world as ever. And 2 ATP 500s.
So yeah, we've got, he's right, Acapulco, Dubai. Yeah, we had Doha on the women's side, which is a WTA 1000. We had Santiago at 250 and a Guadalajara at 250 as well. So we've got the lower tier tournaments for Gav as well.
Oh, you gotta love them.
Yeah, okay, right, we'll start with Acapulco because probably the biggest news of the week is that Medvedev became number one in the world after Djokovic lost in Dubai.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Gav?
Brilliant, yeah. I think it's great. I think it's the first time there's been a new number one that's not been one of the big four since 2004. I'm correct.
Yeah, 18 years, I think, an 18-year stranglehold.
Yeah, so it's good to see, I guess you could say officially, that finally the next generation sort of broken through that to get to a number one in the world. And yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it just emphasises that once the big four do retire, tennis is going to be in a great place. You know, it's not as if the sport's just going to die or sport. A lot of people on Twitter in particular, they have these dramatic takes that, the sport's not going to be the same and all that, but it's going to be in a great place. So great to see Medvedev get number one.
It's going to be a lot more like the WTA, probably. I think.
Be.
Well,
Garros is going to be going back to the 90s, where it's going to be a new winner every.
In fairness, Barty's the Djokovic of the WTA tour at the moment, and now we're Djokovic less on the ATP tour. So maybe they've just done a switching round, basically.
Yeah.
Gav, do you fancy a wee quick quiz before we go on?
Oh, I guess I'm going to have to.
Just one question. It's literally just one question.
Okay.
So
okay.
The question was going to be, can you name the last 8 world number ones before Daniil Medvedev?
We're starting backwards.
Starting backwards, yeah.
Well, a certain Mr. Novak Djokovic is number one. Before Novak, well, it would have been Rafa, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rafa. And then if we go back, would it be Roger? Did Roger get to number one after his Australian Open wins, etc.?
Yeah.
Back. Then we're going to be Murray, obviously.
Yeah. So then at that point, you've got those 4. So then you go back to the first time, because nobody else has been number one since Roger first became number one. So now you're looking 2004 and before, basically.
Well, I'm going to Andy Roddick. Did he get number one?
Yep.
Leighton Hewitt must have been number one.
Leighton Hewitt is one.
Marat Safin?
A little bit too far back. I'll tell you that he is just outside of your 8.
Yeah. Okay. Was Quirton number one? Was that been?
Quirton was one. Yep.
Was it one? I thought I'd be a bit late for Quirton, but okay. So 2 more. Agassi.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we're looking for one more.
Last one's a bit harder.
See, I was going to say Marcelo Rios, but I think he might have been number one way before, because I think he made the final of Australia in '98. He was the only number one not to win a slam.
It was '98. He was number one. Yeah, I'll give you a clue. He's a coach on tour.
Oh yeah, Carlos Moya.
No, not close, but no, same country.
Oh, Ferrero.
Ferrero, yeah. You got
Ferrero,
it,
yeah.
You got it. I thought you had it when you said Carlos, and then
yeah. That was tough, to be fair.
Yeah, it's hard.
I'll take 7 out of 8.
Well, you kind of got that last. But yeah. Well done. Yeah. Good clambering, because that's a tough question, I think. After just stresses the point that obviously since 2004 there was like 4 different number ones, and then you go back like a year before 2004, and there was also 4 different number ones. It's like
shows the dominance of the big 4, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely mad. I think the first place we can, or we'll talk a bit more about Acapulco then. We'll talk about Medvedev's match with Nadal in a second. I think the first thing that sort of happened in that tournament, though, we'll cover now, was Zverev's disqualification from the tournament.
Yep. You went loco in Acapulco. That's
yeah.
Zverev. Listened to that song all week, and it's certainly sum it up. Look, I mean, first thing to say was, I guess, in the Mondays, Zverev was involved in that epic with Brooks Speed. It was at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've seen some people wrongly try and use that as a reason for his outburst, which is just ridiculous. But it's worth mentioning that first
plenty of tired players on court, I will just say that.
And that was the first day in that new stadium, and the match times were 3 hours 15, 3 hours 20, and 3 hours 21, something like that. It's just ridiculous. 5 a.m. and there's still a packed stadium. I mean, that tells you that's dedicated hardcore fans there. I mean,
yeah,
great to see.
That's good to see, yeah.
But yeah, it's
But
very
completely overshadowed by this.
yeah, totally
Yeah.
outrageous. It is outrageous. I think it's it's certainly the worst incident I've seen in a tennis court. I mean, even when you look at McEnroe and you look at Connors back in the 70s, they didn't, start smashing the racket against the chair. I mean, he was literally that close to hitting the umpire's knee or his leg. It was very much like Nalbandian at Queens in 2012, but I thought it was
But
actually worse.
yeah, it's way worse. Yeah, I mean,
Because he
Nalbandian
smashed the
didn't.
racket repeatedly. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just one kick. It's like
And he came back. He came back for more. He wasn't.
mm,
Nalbandian wasn't hitting anywhere near a line judge in his mind. You know what I mean? He was just
yeah, it was just
kicking something.
kicking it, yeah. But in fact, it was like 4 or 5 big swings at the chair, and it was like literally, it was if he was intending to, hurt the umpire. The way he
Yeah,
was, it wasn't just, if he wanted to hit the chair, he could have hit it at the bottom of the chair if he didn't want to cause any harm. But I think he did mean to cause
it
an
looked like that
aggression.
to me as well. Yeah, yeah, it
It
did
was
look like that to me.
outrageous, and I'm actually. I'm not really encouraged by the ATP Tour's response, being honest. I mean, they're chucking him with a fine and they're investigating.
40K.
Yeah, but what is there to investigate? The clip's 10 seconds. You've seen what he's done. You don't need to investigate it. It's
There's
done.
been
It's
other
clear.
there's been other investigations opened about Zverev in the
Mm.
past that haven't been updated in months ATP tour.
Yeah,
So just
I mean, it's ridiculous, really, because I think tennis has got a problem. And if somebody smashes the racket, instant, they come out with a fine. This is more serious than that. You've got to have suspension for this because you've got to
yeah,
define the two. I mean, smashing a
mhm.
racket, you're not hurting somebody. Yeah, it's not great, but at the end of the day,
You've not
it's
hurt
not a big
anybody.
deal in comparison to smashing, but trying to hurt an umpire. I
You
mean,
could.
that's got to be a suspension.
I think part of like smashing rackets is you could hurt somebody if you're not careful, sort of thing. And
Mm.
that's the point. Same as like ball abuse. If you smack a ball away and
Out of the
it could
stadium,
hit
yeah.
a line umpire's throat, for
I
example,
guess, but like
that's
you
why
said,
those
there's
things are
no
in place.
intent. There's no
But
intent
that's
to hurt there.
yeah,
There's
that's exactly my point. Yeah, yeah.
there's
There's no
intent with
intimidation
Zverev.
factor. There's no nothing. A few comparisons I would draw, and I think this is why the ATP Tour will want to make an example of Zverev. There has
Mm.
been stuff that's happened in the past that people have got away with.
Mm-hmm.
Fanini verbally abusing umpires. Obviously, he got a bit of a fine, but I don't think he got suspension from the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Jared Donaldson squaring up
I
to an
do
umpire
remember
in
that. I
Monte
watched that
Carlo?
match, and that
That's
was.
quite similar in
I
that he's
think
intimidating the umpire.
I think Donaldson's verbally was worse than Zverev.
Yeah,
What Zverev did there. Zverev was swearing there, but Donaldson was like proper. That I mean, was probably worse verbally, but he didn't have the physical thing that Zverev had.
yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, you're right to compare that, but
And Pliskova smacking a racket off the umpire's chair.
that was an interesting one. Yeah, that didn't result in a suspension, did it? That
It
was only
didn't.
a fine.
No, that kind of just got looked past. Again, though, all of these examples kind of Zverev is the worst of all of those worlds in that he not only did he attack the umpire, there was sort of intention to
Mm.
attack the umpire, I guess. Whereas
You're
all
right.
of
He came
those,
back for more. He had like a few initial swings,
yeah,
went down, came back for more, and it's clear suspension. It's like you see how Kyrgios has been treated in the past. He had a suspended suspension, didn't he?
yeah.
He's given that. He's got to be. I think Zverev's got to be given at least that, if not more. But will the tour have any gumption? I'm not so sure. Don't know
The
whether they
match
will.
win as well would have been a anything drop in the ocean for him. I
Mhm.
don't get it at all. I don't know. The reaction just wasn't merited at all. So I think I don't think these guys should be getting away with this. To be honest,
No,
I
it's
agree.
got to be
It's
suspension.
a fair suspension, definitely. We'll move back to the tennis though.
Yeah.
So the semi-finals of Acapulco were both amazing. I really enjoyed both matches.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with Cam Norrie v Tsitsipas because I think it's fair to say that was a little less exciting than the other match. It's still good, but
Still
it's
brilliant.
definitely
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely less exciting. How much of it did you catch, Gav?
Yeah, so a lot of it. I think it's really encouraging that after Cam's slow start to the season, I was a bit concerned, thinking, oh no, is he going to have that sort of second year period after a player has a really good first year? Of are they going to struggle in their second year?
Yeah,
But I think this week really showed, and last week in Delray Beach where he won the title as well. He's really a quality player, and he's here to stay. That's the big thing for me. He's here to stay. His spot serving, I think, even though he might not have the most pace in his serve, he's a great spot server. He hits his spots. He's accurate. He doesn't beat himself with errors at the back. And I was really, really impressed against Tsitsipas. I thought he was excellent, especially after getting the break. How easily he held serve after getting the break. because a lot of the time he could be edgy.
I think the only thing comparable possibly is his match win against Rublev in Cincinnati last year. I think
Maybe Batista
Rublev,
in Davis Cup though. I would say maybe.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But again, that was a very weird match, on clay as well. RB is not the best player on clay. Also, it's at the start of his career. It was kind of like a breakthrough victory. Okay, it's big for different reasons. Is my point. This is more beating. This guy Tsitsipas has just made the semi-finals of Australia. I think to underrate him on any surface is silly. Maybe grass still.
Finalist in Rotterdam as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy was playing really well on hard courts. Definitely.
And he won the doubles title.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like to beat him in straight sets, I think that's only the second or the third top 10 win of his career. Fourth, I don't know, close to that anyway. He hadn't beaten many top 10 players in his career. This was a massive deal for me because I didn't give him much of a chance. If I'm honest,
Neither did I.
What I would say is Tsitsipas had some weird tactics. Now, I don't know if you can figure out why he was doing this, but I have a theory. Tsitsipas was serving to Cam's forehand like pretty much exclusively for the first set, and then he kind of mixed it up a little bit in the second set, but he still primarily went for Cam's forehand. For me, Cam Norrie is going to find the court a lot more often with that high, loopy, spinny forehand than he is the backhand. I kind of think Tsitsipas just shied away from that shot generally because he didn't want to. Well, he doesn't want to play the shot from his toes, right? He doesn't want to pick up that horrible backhand.
I mean, it's different, isn't it? I mean, I think sometimes players serve into the strength in order to try and break that down, and they feel if they can break down the strength, then they can attack the weakness. But I think you're right. I was surprised. Why would you serve into Cam's forehand when he's going to make a high percentage of balls? You're right with the high amount of topspin he hits with. That's the percentage shot he's going to make more times than not. And the court, his backhand's so flat. If you get big serves into the backhand and he starts missing, you're going to get a lot more free points. Quick points.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he kind of did recognise that a little bit in the second set. He was mixing up a wee bit, but he still.
So long
he still. I know he still made some really odd. It looked like a lot of the rallies went to rallies because Cam had already anticipated where the serve was going, and it kind of took away a lot of his serving advantage. Basically, point is, Tsitsipas tactically, mentally, a little bit rusty. Full credit to Cam for taking advantage, though. One thing I would say about Cam as well, I remember saying on the podcast once, if I see Cam hit more than 2 inside-out forehands in a match, something is completely changed in his game. He went for that a lot, like he really did, and yeah, maybe that is a big change he's made over the last year. I don't even know if he was doing it in Indian Wells when he won, to be honest. I don't think he was.
Not that much,
from what I remember.
No,
he totally ground out his opponents. Like he was actually quite aggressive in this game, and I think that's a change, being able to flatten out that forehand a wee bit from the
bit more power.
Rainbow massive crazy shape he had on it before. Anything flatter than that is ideal. So absolutely. Yeah, he's making changes, Gav.
It's good to see.
It's good to see, yeah.
Good to see.
We'll move on to the final in a second. I think the match of the tournament for me, the 6-3, 6-3 victory for Nadal over Medvedev.
Yeah, the second set was a 19-minute game.
Nadal something like that.
Nadal saved ridiculous amount of break points.
There was 2 close to that. I mean, one of them was 24 points, the other one was 18 points.
Yep.
So 42 points over 2 service games. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, 11 break points, Gav. Yeah, you're right.
Rafa's looking good, isn't he? I mean, he's looking really, really good.
He's looking all right. Yeah, I got to say, he is looking all right. I've very short sort of analysis of this match. It was very different from Australia, of course. Acapulco is far slower than Australia. Certainly, a lot of Medvedev's serving, advantage that he'd normally get was taken away. Nadal pretty much able to make every return he got a racket to. For the first set, though, I mean, they were both 6-3, 6-3, and the second set was 2 breaks of serve, but the first set was far less close than the second set. I mean, the first set, like Medvedev barely winning a free point on serve, a lot of serving volleying, which I didn't like. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
He's not good enough to serve and volley yet. He just isn't. I mean, how many of them did he fluff? It was
it's
just
not
like
his strength, is it? I mean, he's better at the back. He's a far better player at the back than he is at the front of the court. That's something he has to work on, his volleys. But Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was disappointed after the match when he said something like he couldn't find the energy or he couldn't, something along those lines. I can't remember the exact quote, but I'm thinking, you've just found out you're world number one. You're playing the guy that beat you from when you were 2 sets to live up in the Australian Open final. Surely you've got to be desperate. You got to be, pushing yourself to get out in the court and get revenge on him. Surely, I mean,
Yes, certainly the first set. I would
that's what I'm
100% agree
thinking.
with that. Trying to shorten the points when there wasn't much grounds to shorten them, basically.
Yeah, it looked like it smacked a wee bit of desperation. I'm just like, well, come on, you've got to have the energy for these matches. I mean, you're world number one. You've got to try and get revenge on Rafa. You've not got a particularly great record against him in the past anyway. I think he's only beaten him once, and it's like you've got to show a wee bit more. I just wanted a wee bit more from him. I was disappointed in that press conference really afterwards because
I know. I mean, Nadal was well up for it.
yeah, you just compare the attitudes. Nadal was willing to go through hell every single time to win points. You see Medvedev trying to shorten points at the start of the match, just thinking, just come on, just almost like play properly. Do
Yeah.
what you do best. Don't
Yeah,
try.
I agree. I think one area that Nadal was forcing Medvedev to up his game was the backhand down the line, and certainly for most of the first set, he wasn't able to hit that shot as easily as he would have liked. But it's a shot he can hit. It's definitely a shot he can hit. Okay, it's a change in tactics. It's a change of what he is comfortable with. He preferred to go cross all the time, and he was doing that in Australia because Nadal would have less time to set up that big forehand.
Yep.
But here, I mean, Nadal was ripping it every time he got the chance, or at least looping it to the point where Medvedev was pushed off court and he was forced into a really uncomfortable position. Yeah, he did start hitting that backhand down the line. He's capable of hitting it. I think it does take it basically means you are admitting to Nadal you're going to have to play big, long, grindy points. But as you say, I think he's capable of that. I was disappointed to see him not doing that.
I'm just surprised that you can't find the energy. Surely that's the match that you wouldn't struggle to get energy for. Trying to get your revenge on the guy that denied you a second Grand Slam title.
It was an epic match, though, and also I credit to him in the second set because those drop shots were doing damage. Like they actually,
he made it far closer, but
yeah,
it looks 3-3. Doesn't look particularly close, but
it doesn't.
The second set was closer.
Could be one of the best free matches of the season, probably.
100%.
Yeah. Anyway, Nadal extends his winning streak to whatever it is, like 100 matches in a row, whatever, I don't know. Norrie, I mean, it might actually only be, 15? Something like that.
Yeah.
Norrie v Nadal. Gav, you have to fill me in a wee bit because I caught very little of this.
Well, I thought going into it, I must admit, I know Norrie's been playing well, but I just thought Rafa, with the confidence that he's got and sort of, how well he's been playing, I didn't think Norrie would have much of a chance. And to be fair, it did pretty go as much as expected, 6-4, 6-4. He got the break at the first set, Nadal, and, was able to serve out relatively comfortably. Second set was interesting because he got the double break up, and it looked like it was going to be 4-2. But to Norrie's credit, he fought back really well, got the break back. But, when you're 2 breaks down against Rafa, it's going to be very, very difficult to come back, But he did show a bit of fight, Norrie, which I was impressed with. I think fundamentally, it sounds very simplistic, but it's just Nadal's a better player, And he's just.
I mean, I expected it to be 4-4 is a bit as predictable a scoreline as you could get.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 1 hour 56 minutes for your 4-4, so it was a hard fought 4-4. It was like Norrie made him work for it, but when push came to shove, Nadal was just a better player, ultimately. But good play to Norrie. As I said, I thought I was very worried for him after watching that match against Korda at the Australian Open. Seeing him at the ATP Cup, he looked knackered. Now he looks refreshed. Now he's playing back to his best, and he can have just as good a season, if not better than last season, I think.
Well, it's going to be a good few months for him. Obviously, Miami may be the exception to the rule, but Indian Wells, nice slow hard court, bit of clay coming up, obviously.
Very good clay.
It's going to become Norrie's hunting season, definitely.
Exactly.
And, well, more importantly, Nadal's obviously which doesn't help anybody on tour. Nadal's looking amazing. Credit to him. I'm excited to see how well he can do this season because at the moment he's making more history, and I like people making history. Should we move on to Dubai?
Let's move on to Dubai.
Where to start with Dubai?
Start with Umbrella Gate.
Umbrella Gate, yeah.
First match of the week. Marin Cilic doing a Marin Cilic against Vesely. I'm a big Cilic fan, in case listeners don't know, but I thought he was ridiculous with this. He was basically second set tie break. They've been playing for an hour and 40 odd minutes, or 45 minutes, something like that. or 48 minutes or something. And basically, Cilic missed a forehand, I think, and he goes to the umpire and he rants about this umbrella in the wind. He goes, "You've got a pair of sunglasses on. Why do you need an umbrella?" And I'm just like, man, you've been playing for an hour and 3/4 and you've not once mentioned the umbrella, mate. I mean, come on. I mean, even for me, I thought that's a bit much, man. I did find it hilarious.
It was the sound of the umbrella in the wind that
It
it was
was
bothering. Yeah,
the flapping of it as well. He had a proper rant. I mean, he had a proper rant.
I mean, man's got a point. I don't know. Like, why does he need an umbrella? Why does
Maybe
he
he
need
just
an
gets
umbrella?
commission for like the sunglasses that umpires wearing. Maybe he's desperate to advertise them. He's like, "You thought these
Yeah,
sunglasses are good."
that's probably
Yeah,
true.
it was quite funny. It smacked the desperation, but I thought that would be the most frustrated we see a player on the court this week, and it was nowhere near.
Yeah.
As a result, but it was hilarious. Great way
Yeah,
to
it got
start.
overshadowed by more pressing matters. You're quite right, but yeah,
But
Umbrella
it
Gate
was
was
hilarious. I mean, it was
still one
very,
to
very
watch.
funny. Brilliant.
I know, obviously he got beaten by somebody seemingly innocuous at the time, but wow, this guy did quite well considering.
Yeah, it was like a throwback to 2016, really.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, Jiri Vesely made the final of the tournament. We'll get on to more of his matches in a second. Actually, a few more first rounds though. Very briefly on Andy, I really,
Yeah,
at this point, it's tiring me.
a
But
bit of a phone. Yep.
first match of his tournament against Chris O'Connell was tiring.
I just wanted to shout at the TV, being honest. I
Yeah.
just wanted to shout at the TV. I was just like, shorten the points, shorten the points, shorten the points.
Every fan and their dog is singing the same thing at this
It's a
point. It's
fast
like,
court surface. He's not playing in bloody clay. It's
yeah.
like turning into John Millman with some of the. No offense to John Millman, but it was like that sort of style at the back. It's head in hand stuff.
Why decide to forgo your clay season if you're going to play every point like you're on every court?
And that's no disrespect to John Millman, but it is stuff like he's hitting the ball back, but there's no real intent for the winner. He's just hitting it back.
Andy Murray is no John Millman, quite frankly, and I'm not afraid to say that because John Millman is one of the fittest guys on tour.
Yeah, John Millman, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Why are you trying to play like John Millman?
Yeah, you're quite right. That's what I
John
mean.
Millman now. It's like, come on, man. I mean,
yeah,
it was frustrating.
And it was never ever going to work against Jannik Sinner, and 5-2, unsurprising.
And even though he came to O'Connell, I was thinking he's doomed for his next match, and he was. He was.
Yeah, playing like that.
That's
Absolutely.
why I've said in this podcast I think he should play doubles, but I'm not going to go on that rant again. Just my opinion. I think he'd do better playing doubles, but.
The serve is the bit of his game that it seems to change every other match, so that's why I kind of have sort of faint hope in the back of my head that he can change it up a bit. At the moment, he's kind of in limbo though. We'll see what happens with his coaching stuff. Again, I don't want to get too much into that. Just we'll see what happens. I've talked about it a lot this week. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So, I'd like to talk about Sinner very quickly because this is one of the first matches of his career. In fact, I think it is the first match of his career where he saved 3 or more match points in a match and won the match.
That was incredible.
Yeah, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. I was impressed with that because there was one rally where obviously the ball scraped the net and he did get a tiny bit lucky maybe, but then he came up with a massive backhand. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The guy is made of steel, and that's why technically, game-wise, I feel like I'm more impressed with Alcaraz, but as it stands, mentally, I'm more impressed with Jannik Sinner. I think that could be the difference between him ascending and not ascending.
They're both much for much. You're right. I think Alcaraz in Paris when he played Hugo Gaston mentally showed that there was some way to go, but then he fixed that when he won in Rio. He won his first ATP 500 in Rio.
Was he ever under pressure though? He was just playing every point.
Yeah, but what I would say is that he had to, due to the rain, he had to deal with the rain interruptions and come back and play
that's true.
Matches. So he was able to handle those circumstances. You're right, Sinner's made a steal, and particularly I think that was the first match he played without Piatti, wasn't it, in his corner?
Yes, and it didn't bother him.
Had to deal with a lot of that, press, speculation, and he came out with it very, very well. Davidovich Fokina, and I think he had like some of the worst service statistics over the past couple of seasons. I do quite like the guy though. He's sort of like a Rublev in terms of the passion he shows every bloody miss that he makes. It's quite fun.
That's true.
Felt a bit bad for him because he did, he played really, really well in the first 2 sets, and then Sinner came back.
Stepped up. Yeah, it was brilliant from Sinner anyway. Really like to see. I'm a bit of a Sinner fanboy nowadays, so I loved it. I think we will talk about Djokovic losing to Jiri Vesely instead, because that was quite a big story, obviously, wasn't it?
Just a small story, that one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, first thing I would say, Gav, is that Vesely does actually have a little bit of a weapon that can hurt Djokovic. So it's not just like two crazy random wins plucked out of thin air. Vesely has the weaponry to trouble Djokovic. Fine, nobody is going to expect Vesely to have won twice out of 2 times. But I am not surprised the matches were close. Or the matches could have been close and he could have lost, sort of thing. It was always going to be difficult. Vesely's got this crazy backhand return, so flat. Okay, Djokovic's second serve isn't a weakness, but nobody really takes advantage of it. And Djokovic likes to serve to the forehand in the ad court. This is important because obviously Vesely's backhand is on that side. Vesely can easily attack with that off return. Not easily. I don't know. He was definitely peaking this week.
Down the line.
Yeah, like that's not an easy shot to keep pulling off, but he was doing it like, he was doing it every day on court, basically.
For me, it was kind of interesting because he's played 2 big servers. He played Khachanov the day before, and he beat Khachanov, even though the second set was a great set. I really enjoyed that. But what I noticed was Khachanov wasn't getting the location in his serve quite right in the first set. So he's hitting with pace, but he's not hitting his spots. I thought Vesely served impeccably well in that first set. Okay, he got broken once, but this is the greatest return of all time we're talking about. And the way he was consistently able to locate his serve with pace, that really impressed me. And his returning was great, as you said, as well. He's a big ball striker. Fair play. I think Novak said after the match he just played better than me. And even though Novak got back into that tie break, it was a double fault that was the killer. How many times is Novak serving a double fault in the big moment?
Yeah. I mean, I saw a bit in this though as well. Again, Vesely returning so well. You got to give credit to the man, because Djokovic, given the chance to not hit a double fault, is not going to hit a double fault, if you know what I mean. He had to be under pressure, under some pressure. Yeah, 100%. So all credit to Vesely. How on earth he beat him in Monte Carlo? I cannot remember that from 6 years ago. I've got no fucking clue how he did that, because big, massive, flat, hard returns work perfectly on a fast court like Dubai, but in Monte Carlo, must have just served amazingly. I don't know. But watching him here, it made, like, obviously you saw the match unfold. It made sense why Vesely was doing so well, I guess. At the same time, the rally temperament of the guy to hang in those like massive long rallies and win them at the end. That's still incredibly jaw dropping. There's no way to sugarcoat that.
It was a really good match, actually. Really good match.
Yeah, I did also in the last 10 years. I sort of did a bit of digging on this, because I was like, oh, okay, lefties, can I take away that backhand cross court for Djokovic? Maybe that's the kind of player he struggles against. It's not the case at all. The last 10 years, it's been Nadal, obviously. Belly Lopez took that 1 win in Dubai as well, I think, and Vesely is the only other guy to beat him. That's been left-handed in the last 10 years. So, yeah, it's just an oddity. It's bizarre. I mean, Vesely, I think it says it all when you see the list of opponents Vesely beat this week. Cilic, RBA, Djoko, and Shapo in fast hard courts.
Qualifying as well.
Yeah, and qualifying, of course. Yeah. But, I mean, those 4 opponents on fast hard courts, I'd have expected them to lose in straight sets to all 4 of those guys. So, yeah, fair play to him. Seriously. It's actually unbelievable. It's a seriously good run. Like, I hope he does well again.
This year, you got Lehechka making the semis in Rotterdam, and you've got Vesely final.
I know, it's mad. Rublev v Hurkacz, we can cover that as well.
Yes, we can. Don't know how much what you saw, but I thought after the first set, Hurkacz was looking really good. I actually pretty much too early predicted him to win the title. I thought after that first set, I was getting really excited. I thought, this guy's serving bombs. Dominating from the back, he's not losing this, and then he lost it. Rublev was a strange one this week. Against Kwon, he drops the first set. Against Evans, he didn't play his best. Against McDonald, he drops the first set, and he was so negative in his post-match interviews on court. It's quite funny. He goes, "I didn't expect to be here. I arrived at 2 a.m. on Tuesday.
I was just like, I'm so knackered.
I'm so knackered. I'm tired. I'm playing rubbish pretty much, and I'm winning." And then
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a funny guy, very endearing, I've got to
Funny
say.
guy. I just love the boy. I just think he's worth watching just for the boy alone.
He basically, I mean, his press conferences are really good because he's quite in depth with what he says. But I saw one that kind of sums it up. You know, when he just went into the whole match point by point, basically, kind of said how addictive tennis is in general. You know, like how it hooks you. Basically, the guy might be knackered, but he is so up for it every single time he comes on court.
I tell you, what was hilarious in that match, the catch match, was after the first game of the match when he got broken, he smacked the ball into the stands, like out the stadium. After the first service game of the match, just hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah. 3 minutes in. Oh man,
for slightly longer than that. Just
he's very lovable, I've got to say. But oh my god, for him to come back from another set down, I've got another match from another set down
against Hurkacz.
Yeah, against Hurkacz. Interestingly, third set tiebreak record for both guys. So Rublev now extends his to 11-5. Hurkacz drops down to 2-8.
Yeah, he lost that heartbreak in the ATP Cup.
Yeah, exactly. You bring up recent ones, obviously, like Djokovic in Paris as well. I'm sure you remember.
Djokovic in Paris,
Yeah. So there's been a few recently, certainly. Bit of a stumbling block. I don't know. It's always kind of just a dice roll, isn't it?
Return the serve for me needs to improve, and you can still make those errors in the forehand side and side out forehand. He needs to polish that up, but he played really well this week. Like, to be fair to Rublev, I thought he was very, very smart tactically in the final set tiebreaker. Knew when to go into the Hurkacz forehand, and he was clutch. He was better in the big moments. So got to respect the guy. And in the final, he was equally impressive against Vesely. I mean, Vesely was having a great week, and you could maybe think, oh, the crowd are going to be going for Vesely, you're going to be supporting him. But from ball one, he dominated that match. Absolutely dominated it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really surprised he came through that as well as he did, but I think it was still quite surprising that he hit a level as high as he did in the final, I guess.
Yeah.
He's quite a, like as soon as he's got a final to play, he'll leave it all out on court. He keeps talking about how knackered he is, but it doesn't seem to matter that much when it comes to the final day of the tournament.
The Cincinnati final. He won't want to be reminded of the Cincinnati final. But
Monte Carlo as well, maybe. I don't know, obviously.
Monte Carlo.
They're both different, though. That's big players taking advantages of weaknesses of Rublev that other people can't. The second serve sort of thing. This was different in that, he was the heavy favourite. He has been the heavy favourite in plenty of other finals, but he always comes out and plays pretty much close to his best tennis.
Yep, hit over 20 winners in the final as well, I think, with like 2 unforced errors.
Yeah. I mean, he talked about how knackered he was after the match and stuff, so fair play to the guy. He has now won 5 ATP 500 titles, more than
500s. He could do like the 500 slam. That's my theory. He could do. He might just play Acapulco next year because he's not won it. He might do like the 500 slam.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, if you can. Why not? That's more than Medvedev, Berrettini, Ruud, Hurkacz, Shapo, Olga Aliassime, and Sinner combined. Which is,
mental.
It's quite mental. Yeah, mental. I mean, we talked about Medvedev's maybe sort of being undermotivated, even demotivated in the 500s, but still, it's still a very impressive stat.
Oh man!
This is another tweet I made. Gav, you might have seen this, but in case the viewers didn't see this, the similarities to Ostapenko from the week before were just quite funny. He took exactly the same route Ostapenko did. Won his first match in straight sets, won the next 3 from a set down, and won his last match in straight sets in Dubai, just like Ostapenko. I thought it was quite bizarre stuff.
Quite bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we'll move on to Doha now.
Move on to Doha. You can take the lead in this. I know you've been watching quite a bit of it, so
yeah. I will try and limit it to the last few matches. One thing I would note, though, quite important to say, Caroline Garcia got one of the biggest wins of her comeback. Over Halep. A lot of doubters maybe say Garcia is never going to get anywhere near the top 4 again. This match maybe put that to bed. I'm not saying those doubters had anything to be ashamed of, to be honest.
Never in the women's game. That's what.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, Garcia hadn't played that well for a long time. I will say that. It didn't look like she was playing top 4 tennis again. At least against Halep, she was amazing. She was really, really good. Like I wouldn't count your chickens. Definitely, there's a chance Garcia could put some of her tennis together again. Definitely top 20, maybe. Don't know. Mm-hmm. Went on to lose to Coco Gauff. Yep. I think I'll move just on to the semis and the final, so we keep this moving along a bit. One of the semis, Kontaveit versus Ostapenko, looked like an amazing match on paper. But a lot of it was quite a good match, but there was some bizarre changes in momentum. One of the most bizarre things, obviously, Kontaveit on an 8-match win streak as well, Ostapenko on a 9-match win streak, one of their streaks had to end. One of the most bizarre things at the start of the first set, though, after going up 40-love on her serve, Ostapenko hit a first serve that looked in. Kontaveit challenged it. Hawkeye kind of only challenged it just out of like, why not? Fuck it, I'll see if it's in or not. 30 seconds later, the challenge came out. It was less than a millimetre. Well, it looked like less than a millimetre out. It didn't look like much anyway. Which, Hawkeye's margin for error is 3.6 millimetres, but we'll forget about that. Ostapenko had to serve again, lost 23 of the next 25 points. down a break in the second set at that point. It actually baffles me how you can lose that much rhythm, but I guess it happens. Ostapenko obviously is one of the most rhythmic players on the tour. Of course she is, but that is exceptional. That is an exceptional loss in form in a very, very quick amount of time. She did manage a bit of a fight back, kind of came back from a double breakdown to make it one break in the second set, had a break point at 5-4 to even things out. Kontaveit hit a dead net cord on break back point and eventually went on to win the match. Obviously, if you've seen any of Ostapenko's matches, she has a face like Fizz quite a lot of the time when things don't go her way. She was absolutely raging. It was quite funny. Good match though. It kind of just turned out quite dramatic and stuff. Honestly, Ostapenko, tactically isn't the most diverse player, I would say. It's kind of just see ball, hit ball, right? But it was still a very, still a good match to watch, definitely. The other semi-final, this was far more surprising, definitely. Sakkari v Swiatek. Swiatek managed to beat Maria Sakkari. Obviously, she had played her 3 times in the past, all last year. She had lost to Sakkari all 3 times, all in straight sets. That one at the French Open, probably the hardest to stomach, of course. Sakkari has a game that can trouble her in that she can fly through service games, certainly rush her forehand quite easily with that serve, and that obviously makes the difference in a lot of these sets, just the odd service game here or there. She has very sort of linear shots, kind of deep down the middle, quick, but maybe not with loads of angle, but able to sort of, again, rush that forehand, get up in the point, and then put the ball away. It's not something that Swiatek's been able to deal with easily in the past, even at the French Open, where the balls maybe go a little bit slower, but not slow enough for Sakkari to still, she still had that advantage. It was quite interesting to see that dynamic turned on its head because Sakkari was still going for the same tactics. She went up a break in both sets, incidentally, but Swiatek, that forehand just wasn't getting rushed this time, and certainly on the backhand as well. I think maybe that's where the biggest improvements have been made in her hard court. Start with the forehand though. She was able to take it down the line so easily. It just looked like she had time. Maybe Doha helps a little bit. It's a little bit slower than some of the other hard courts. Obviously, French Open's still fairly slow. Swiatek just looked able to set up that forehand over and over again. It didn't matter how deep or hard Sakkari was able to hit it in the court. Swiatek was able to respond with something bigger and better. That forehand it's not underrated at all, I don't think, but it should start being considered one of the biggest shots on the
more of a weapon.
Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be sort of top 3 biggest weapons on the tour, like quite easily. It's absolutely huge when it's on. So she was able to turn the match around using that. Basically, I mean, going down the line so well. Like she barely missed one when she tried. So obviously, the amount of spin she puts in the ball, it's not surprising. But we've also talked about that in the past. I think Swiatek's poor record from a set down, poor record on hard courts versus top 10. Both of those records sort of turned on their head this week. Okay, she wasn't a set down, but she was able to sort of turn a losing match into a winning match just by digging in. It's certainly something she's been working on. Versus top 10 as well, she was 1-4 on hard courts before this week. She is now 4-all, having beat Sabalenka, Sakkari, and Kontaveit back to back. Insane.
Not too bad.
She's completely changed her hard court record around. Again, I think it helps that it was a little bit slower this week. I'm still not convinced. I mean, Australia was good, but it was a very scrappy route to the semi-final. I mean, she was good in Australia. This is the thing. This is how big her game is. Her forehand's amazing, but our second serve in particular was trash, and she still managed to get to the semi-finals. So here, when the conditions just suited her a little bit more, and she was finding that serve as well, she looked unstoppable for a while. And against Kontaveit in the final, wow! I mean, loving too. I'm still not convinced Kontaveit can hack it on a slower surface, but I was not expecting a 11-2 final, obviously. But I mean, it just looked like Swiatek had masses of time on every single ground stroke she set up, and Kontaveit, she can get rushed in that forehand really easily, more so than Sakkari, definitely. Sakkari, more so than Swiatek even. And the first few games were quite close. Swiatek still clearly had a bit of an advantage though, and then it all just spiraled out of control.
Yeah, so. And that's another area where the two tours need to work better together, because you've got two finals starting at the same time. You know what I mean? Like the Doha final and the Dubai final. It's like, can we not just sort this out? Just a basic, conversation. You'd have like one final afternoon, one final in the evening. You have like one after the other almost. I just don't understand why we have to have finals start at the same time.
Yeah, I suppose the fact that maybe they're in the same time zone probably didn't help matters, because there might be an ideal time for it to start weather-wise.
Start at night, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that certainly would have made the final of Doha a bit closer, I think. But it's certainly in Swiatek's favour that it was during the day.
Yeah.
So, super interesting tournament. I think I'll do a little bit more about that, because this is a really big tournament for Swiatek. She really hadn't properly proven herself on hard courts yet, so for her to make this breakthrough, really, really big deal. So I'll be making a bit more of an analysis about it for sure. Still not convinced how well she can do on a quicker hard court, but that's not going to matter, because for the next few months it's all going to be slow. So
it is going to be slow.
Yeah,
very slow.
It's going to be right in our wheelhouse. Moving on, I think, Gav, we can move on to Santiago quickly. We'll do Santiago and Guadalajara very quickly, just to wrap it up.
The event which Terrace TV seemed to have forgot even existed until Wednesday before posting highlights, which I don't understand. Sebastian Baez and Pedro Martinez in the final. Not going to lie, I thought Baez would win. But Martinez, fair play to him, came back from a set down. And I think Martinez, to be fair, made the final in Kitzbühel last year. Yes. And I was very impressed with him when he played Rublev at the US Open. I thought he really showed his qualities there. He's a typical player, he doesn't give up from the back. He might not have a big weight of shot, but he's going to...
I was going to say he's about as typically Spanish as they come.
He is, yeah. Even down to the grunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His grunt might be second to only Federico Coria for being the most annoying. If you've not seen Coria's grunt, you don't want to. But yeah, I like watching these players. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's just a clay court player." Nonsense. You don't realise the fitness these guys have got to have from the back of the court, the consistency to execute balls, deep in the court, the defensive skills they've got to have.
I'm still at the same time. I'm not mega convinced he can beat some of the best players in the world on hard courts yet.
No, I don't think so.
He's got quite a big game, certainly, relative to a few other Spanish players. Maybe bigger serve than quite a few other players. Bigger forehand when it's on. Just a tiny little less solid, but he's still pretty solid.
He's definitely solid. I don't know whether he's got the firepower related to that. Like, can you see him beating a Berrettini on a clay?
For me, he's the kind of guy that if one of the big players was having an off day, he might be able to sneak it just by sheer solidness. Basically, he's certainly maybe worthy of top 50, definitely.
100%, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not convinced he can do much more than that yet. Is all I would say. But this is a massive breakthrough for him. I mean, the guy hadn't. Yeah, this is the fourth quarterfinal, ATP quarterfinal of his fairly young career-ish. Well, not that young actually compared to somebody like Baez. But that's my point. He's been around a wee while. This is kind of a breakthrough tournament for him in that he's not made many quarterfinals before. Okay, so maybe he'll build on that momentum, but at the same time, it can go either way.
Outside of the 250s, I don't see him winning like the 1000 Masters or 500. Yeah. Maybe have a good run in the 500s. It depends, but 250s. Maybe you don't look.
It takes a couple of big wins nowadays to win a 500. I was gonna say I'm more impressed. Not more impressed, but certainly I'm like thinking this Baez guy's got a lot of potential from this run to the final this week. He's got such good touch, obviously super quick around the court. He's not just a copy and paste Diego Schwartzman. I would say that.
He's similar. He is similar.
He's similar, yeah.
He's not Diego Schwartzman yet, but he's similar to Diego.
He likes a bit more of that sort of touchy stuff, I think, like touchy-feely stuff.
He plays more drop shots. The visual aesthetic of the backwards hat, this sort of similar style in the forehand and backhand, it is like similar to Diego Schwartzman.
The nationality.
Yeah.
For me, he's got a bigger forehand. That backhand of Schwartzman is probably right up there with one of the best on tour, definitely. So there's that. I suppose their respective wings, maybe their strengths fall into the other wing. That's about it, though. He's very, very similar. He's going to be one of those guys again, like Schwartzman. He could get beat by anybody. Probably could beat anybody as well, though.
Yep.
That just happens if you've not got a good. That just happens if you've not got a massive serve in there to beat her. That's fair enough, isn't it? You know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah. You're right.
So it just happens with height, but yeah, he also has the advantage of being able to beat a lot of people that couldn't get beat by somebody, just a middling player generally. So yeah, excited to see where Baez goes with this, and fair play to Martinez. He could build on that, definitely.
Absolutely.
Finally, just a few points about Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Though admittedly I only saw a few matches. The one I can talk about though, Fruhvirtova, Brenda Fruhvirtova, that is. There's two of them. Made her WTA main draw debut at only 14 years old. Received a wild card into qualies after she won the two ITF titles the week before, in the previous weeks. Defeated Leonie Kung and former number 5 Sarah Irani. I can't remember how high Sarah Irani got. So I'll just go with that.
Garros finalist as well.
Yeah, just say that at least. Yep. She won only 4 games against Sloane Stephens in the first round, but obviously Sloane Stephens went on to win the title, to be fair. First title for Sloane Stephens in 4 years as well, incidentally.
Mental, given the talent she's got.
I know, yeah. Fruhvirtova obviously wasn't going to win that match. I mean, in hindsight, easily could have lost it, or easily could have only won 4 games. I think that's fair enough. Forehand's still not quite, what it's going to be at only 14 years old. Found with a lot of these juniors, obviously the backhand's going to be the stronger wing because you can use more of your body. You've got both sides of your body into the shot. Her backhand in particular, though, is scary good. Like, that's already a sort of top 50 shot. That's the thing. Like, she can hit it so well. The rest of the game's still catching up. So look out for her. It might still be a few years yet before her serve and her forehand catch up in particular, but very exciting prospect after that match.
Absolutely.
It was amazing. Even though she only won 4 games. Sloane Stephens, though, managed to beat Marie Buzkova in the final. Do you know, Gav, I didn't see any of it, so I don't really know. I don't know.
There's so much going on, to be fair.
There was a lot on, exactly. It's just good for
on at the same time as well. It's like
exactly. Well, it's good. It's good for her to win her first title in 4 years. I don't know if we need to see much more than that. Maybe the marriage helped. We can say that. She's been mentioning it. To be fair, it's not just me.
Quite funny, yeah.
She's joked about it, saying, as a married woman that helps, definitely. But maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe. Takes a bit of pressure off. Brilliant win for her. It's not actually the kind of place I would have expected her to do very well in as well, Guadalajara. It's not really conditions that suit her down to a T, so maybe it is just the marriage. I don't know.
Maybe it is.
I don't have much more to say on it apart from that, really. I think that's I think that's all we can cover this week. I don't know if there's anything we've missed out. Pretty sure.
I don't think so. I can't think we've missed out anything.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's it. It's going to be a quiet week on tour, I think, Gav. By the looks of it.
I think there's only one WTA event, 2 WTA events this week.
No ATP events though. Probably the only week of the year.
They're too busy celebrating Martinez 250 one, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, yeah.
A week-long party.
Party in Santiago, yeah. Love it.
Celebrating the 250s. Yeah, sort of like that.
So yeah, it's going to be very quiet. If there's going to be a pod, it'll be quite a subdued one probably. Yeah. Shall I look up the WTA tournaments?
WTA Lyon is one.
Lyon?
Yeah.
And
that might be it.
That may be it. Wow. No, Monterrey. So we've got Lyon and Monterrey.
Okay.
Monterrey was Fernandez last year, and Lyon, I think, was Coco Gauff, or was it? No, it was Towson.
Towson. Yeah.
So it's the events where the youngsters like to win. Basically, it has to be a teen winner probably. So could be an up and comer winning. That could be exciting. But other than that, there's not going to be much
challenger this week. Just very quickly, one.
Yes,
the Flory challenger. I think it's.
Yeah, that's Flory. Forley. Yeah. That's a big deal. That is actually just worth mentioning.
He came back from a set down 2 or 3 times, didn't he, to win that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And Andre Rublev impression.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's his It could be his third of the season. Second or third. It might be his third challenger.
What else is interesting about that challenger? Jiri Lehechka lost 11-2 in the first round.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
Jeez, okay.
Fun fact of the week.
I was just bigging up Lehechka to no end in the last one.
Damn, should have said that for the postcard.
I wouldn't have got that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The reason this is a big deal for tennis laymen, 3 challenger titles. That's, take Liam Brody for example. 27 years old, I think.
Yep.
He has been around a long time, made a lot of finals of challengers, only won his first challenger title within the last 52 weeks. My point is, winning a challenger isn't easy. He's won 3 already. He's already like 140 odd in the world at 20 years old.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets a wild card into Miami, because he got one last year and he was injured. He couldn't remember.
He collapsed, didn't he?
Cramps, something like that. He had to retire. So it'll be interesting. I think they'll give him one because of his achievements. He's taken a set off Novak at Wimbledon. He's made the quarter Queens. He beat Sinner in first round. First match that tournament, and he's won 3 challenges, so he's got to be getting a wild card surely into Miami.
Yeah, my point is basically this guy could be one of the first sort of breakthrough people from Britain in a while.
Post Andy,
post Andy, the first post Andy, pretty much,
First post Andy.
Yeah, Cam Norrie kind of counts, I don't know. But
Dan Evans.
Yeah, the two of them, I suppose, have kind of peaked, but obviously, but they were already around, weren't they? So this is like the first new prospects post Andy, which it's brilliant news, definitely.
Brilliant news.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Gav. That was useful.
All right.
Catch us next time. We're not sure exactly what we're going to be covering, but it'll be as exciting as ever, I'm sure. Thanks very much, Gav, and thank you, listener, for listening this far through. If you want to catch any of my work, you can catch it at jackedward.substack.com. If you want to catch any of Gav's work, go to Last Word on Tennis.
Tennis, yeah.
At Last Word on Tennis, Last Word on Sport for a bit of his predictions. Thanks very much, guys. We'll catch you next time on the Online Tennis Podcast.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.